Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Freelance reporters, please call in. Share your early voting experience. It'll just take a second. 800-288-9227. And coming up after I talk to a couple of reporters, Victoria Churchill from the New York Post tell you how things are going in the swing states for Decision 2024. Let's go to Maggie in Kennedale. You're next up on the James Show on WBAP. What did you see early voting?
I went last Thursday, and it was all electronic. It took me 9 minutes total. I took my little girl with me, and she got a future voter sticker.
Okay, so when you say all electronic, there wasn't a paper ballot you put into a machine, and then you use the machine, and then you put the paper ballot in another machine?
I mean, I guess you could say that. I just heard the other guy say he put it in a box, and I was like, I didn't do that. I stuck mine in a machine, like you just said.
So there's the hybrid system, which is what you and I did. The system that the other guy called about is all paper. There wasn't even a machine involved. And then there is the all machine voting, which when I voted in New Orleans, I lived there for a while. There was not any paper. I would go. And there was also a curtain behind me. Did you have a curtain?
No, we did not.
Yeah, I didn't have a curtain. I don't think I've ever had a curtain voting in Texas, but in Louisiana, you get your own kind of privacy booth. So,
Oh, wow.
Who knows what happens when you pull the curtain? Well, I know what happens. You vote. So that's
exactly.
How long did it take?
9 minutes total.
Look, you even timed it for me. Thank you very much, Maggie. Great report.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, sticking with the phones here. Suzanne in Frisco, your early voting report. Go.
So Saturday, my husband and I went to vote in McKinney on Virginia Fire Station. It took about 10 minutes total, but here's what happened. We both went to our respective machines. We electronically voted. It printed out our ballot. We're supposed to walk over to another machine, put it in there, and it's supposed to electronically suck it up and read it.
Yes.
But it was broken. They were like, oh, I'm sorry, you have to put it down in this little hole down below that. It's broken. I go, what do you mean it's broken? They go, yeah, there's a ballot stuck in there. We've called someone to come out. So I didn't really like that, but what are you supposed to do at that point,
Oh, well, we've got it on the record. So if there's some widespread issues, we can come back and subpoena this show, and maybe your report can change the outcome of the court case, Suzanne in Frisco. But I'm sure it's fine. How long was your total arrive, voting, and getting the heck out of there timestamp?
Maybe 10 minutes. It wasn't long at all.
Yeah, I think mine was even less than that. Okay, well, thanks for the update from Frisco/McKinney.
You bet.
All right, Suzanne. Yeah, she went with her husband. Were they on a Saturday? This is like almost like a date thing. That's cute. All right, Victoria Churchill back on the James Show. Welcome back. New York Post swing state team still going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me back. It's crazy to think that we are exactly a week away today.
Yeah, and then again, it feels like we've been doing this for a year already. Now, let's talk about what's going on in the swing states, because I keep hearing reports that the polls are drifting slightly toward Trump. Is that your observation?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, I've been covering events with Trump, Vance, as well as the Harris camp, and there definitely seems to be a lot of energy on the Trump side. And, of course, another thing that we're looking at is turnout in heavily Republican precincts. In a state like Virginia, where I live, we don't have a partisan registration, but we can track, obviously, how different localities have voted in the past. And so we are seeing record turnout in Republican-leaning areas of the state, which I think is a good sign.
Right, and so that's the speculation that those are more likely to be red votes. So that's kind of generally speaks well for Donald Trump. I just, I hear a lot of optimism, but the actual polls themselves, yeah, they've moved toward Donald Trump, but it's been very small.
It has been small, but I think, really this year more than any other year, I think you will have that reluctant Trump vote, especially just with how, the Harris campaign is painting female voters, right? I don't know if you guys have seen these ads in Texas, but I've seen some ads in some of the swing states that I cover, basically targeting women and saying you can vote opposite of your husband, he'll never know. And I've seen some Republicans that are far from Trump acolytes that, are more like Romney Republicans or, Chris Christie Republicans, and they're going out and saying, I'm just so offended by this ad and what the Kamala Harris campaign thinks of me. I'm just going to go vote out of spite for them.
Okay, well, tell me about this article you have on the New York Post about Democrat House candidate Eugene Vindman.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this man has been very interesting to cover for the past 6 months that I've been on the trail. It was actually in our print edition today, which was great to see that. But, Vindman, obviously, he came to national prominence as a Trump whistleblower during the first Trump term. Both him and his brother, Alexander, they lived here in Northern Virginia, and Eugene Vindman is running for Congress here in the 7th District in Virginia, which has been represented by both Democrats and Republicans in recent
Where
times.
is that? Is that D.C. area?
It's about an hour and a half south of D.C., depending on how much traffic there is on 95. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just outside of the Beltway. And, Vindman entered the race actually against a lot of well-respected Democrats. He didn't even have too many of the active Democrats in the state that liked him. They've kind of come around. But, Vindman's been running what I like to call kind of an under-radar campaign for somebody that's got national name ID, which I think is very interesting because he entered the race with this prominence, and he's only done one debate during the entire time, and that was an untelevised debate. He refused to participate in the major televised debate that we had, and for us at the Post, he refused to answer questions about a business that he and his brother started after Eugene particularly took 14 taxpayer-funded trips to Ukraine under a group that was like a wartime atrocities group, and they've pitched business deals. This has been reported by other outlets, but I don't think anybody's really ever asked him if he or his brother are planning to, continue to attempt to profit off the war, which is what this business seems like it's done. And, what we did at the Post is we looked at financial records. Of course, every candidate for office has to file these with the clerk of the court of the U.S. House of Representatives. And, what we found is that he reported a large increase, or what appears to be a large increase in money that he made during the first 2 months of the year versus what he made in 2023 entirely. So that really raised a lot of questions in our minds, and he refused to answer them, which I think speaks more than what we could have had if he did have answers. If he would have wanted to clear up any speculation, it's very easy to send a couple emails, but he refused to do that, which I think leaves more things to question as it stands today.
Oh, man, I'm just so suspicious. I saw your story, and I'm like, we have a Ukrainian-born Democrat running for Congress. What could possibly go wrong? And then you pile onto that 14 trips back to his home country at the taxpayer expense, and then all of a sudden he's piling in money. Good work, because I hadn't seen that story anywhere else. You get points, 5 points for Victoria Churchill at the New York Post, Garrett. 5. Yes, 5. All right, thank you very much, Victoria Churchill. What else you got going on? Anything I didn't ask about?
No, those are the main ones. Trump will be back in Virginia. He's also in North Carolina tomorrow, so he's making a big push out here on the East Coast. We'll see if that, plays in his favor a week from today.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the update from the swing states. Check out her good work at the New York Post, Victoria Churchill. We'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Thanks so much. Talk soon.
All right. Now, I want to hear from you. Your early voting experience, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Patrick in Grand Prairie will be first up, but if you want to get in line after him, give us a call. Even if it was uneventful, I just need to get some details on the record. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. You're listening to The James Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3, 7 days away from Election Day. For some of us, it's over. What about you? 800-288-9227. I'd like to hear your experience early voting. You can be a freelance reporter for The James Show. Call in, 800-288-9227. This is Joseph in Burleson. What was your experience like early voting, Joseph?
Yeah, so I voted last Thursday. It took about an hour from the door. I voted at the Burleson Subcourthouse on Elk Street, and they have paper ballots there. I thought that was interesting. I thought it was even more interesting that I had to fill it out with pencil. But, yeah, that's how my experience went. It was pretty easy, but...
So you filled it out with pencil. Did you have to run it through a machine?
No. No, I dropped it in a box.
So there wasn't like a Scantron or anything there?
Right.
Yeah. All right.
It looked like a Scantron type ballot.
See, now the boxes, we have a vote that hasn't been counted. What happens to that box between now and Election Day? Is someone going to be staring at it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Is someone going to have access to it? Is there going to be a tight chain of custody? Can people take ballots out and put ballots in? I mean, I know this is a system we have, and we got to work with what we have, and you did the right thing by voting early. I'm just, we worried about some of these things happening to ballots last week like it was hypothetical, and then this week we turn around and there have been 3 ballot boxes that have been set on fire and issues with other ones. So, again, you did the right thing voting early, and everybody should be encouraged to do so. However, I don't know if this is a system we need to use going forward. I don't think I like this.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you for your report, Joseph. It was very helpful. Got an update from Burleson. Thank you very much for Burleson for giving us Joseph's report. And also, didn't they give us Kelly Clarkson? Isn't she from Burleson? I'm a big fan over there. So if you want to get in your early voting report, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. So here is an interesting take from Donald Trump during the Joe Rogan interview, where he brings up something that I was surprised to hear. Eric Adams is the mayor of New York City, and he recently got indicted for corruption, for some charges. And the timing of this was, some called it suspicious, because it was right after he defended Donald Trump and his stance on illegal immigration, because illegal immigration has been throttling Eric Adams' budget for New York City.
Well, how about what happened?
If you think about the amount of money that they've given them when they've come here, the food stamps, the benefits that even our poor people aren't getting.
$200 billion, and that's a way low number. That's a way low. You know, it's interesting. New York has always been like, sort of like always looking for money. They've spent $100 billion on this stuff. I don't know where and they're not getting the money from the federal government. It's crazy. And because the mayor came out and said, we can't live like this.
They investigated him.
He gets in. By the way, I called it. I said he just got himself indicted. This group is stupid, but they're vicious. They're stupid people, but they're vicious people.
Now that's an interesting take. You dare say one nice thing about the man. You dare humanize him, especially from Team Blue, where Team Blue voters can be exposed to this information. It's one thing if you say nice things about him at the Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden, but you say nice things about him on MSNBC or CNN or NBC or CBS. I mean, my goodness, people might think that he's not Hitler after all. They might think he's actually a regular human being with thoughts and feelings and not some evil, bloodthirsty monster that's just looking to oppress poor minorities. No, you can't humanize them. And this is the same suspicion that you have about all the McDonald's stuff. Did you hear the new news about McDonald's yesterday? No, you didn't, because, well, I don't want to say because it didn't fit the narrative, because that sounds so hacky, but okay, it doesn't fit the narrative. But McDonald's, remember, they got in trouble for E. coli and for price gouging within 48 hours. 2 investigations were opened up into McDonald's from 2 different federal agencies right after Donald Trump dropped some fries on Sunday. Now, that coincidence is way too close. That's beyond belief. And then yesterday, McDonald's was exonerated. McDonald's began selling their Quarter Pounder again, because testing shows that they weren't the source of E. coli. Now, I did the American thing, the right thing, and I saw a great American institution being slandered by both the media and a corrupt government, and I went out to buy me some Quarter Pounders on Monday. They were off the menu downtown Dallas. The McDonald's over here, it was crossed out. You could get the new chicken Big Mac, but you couldn't get the Quarter Pounder. Now, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration continues to believe that it's from these slivered onions. That's the source of the contamination. It wasn't. We knew it wasn't the Quarter Pounder itself. It was just the onions. Okay. Well, it happened like 7 states away, and I didn't get a Quarter Pounder over here. Now, think about that. McDonald's missed out on millions and millions and millions of dollars of business. Now, you would think, well, that's a giant corporation. That means nothing to them. Well, the guy that allowed Donald Trump to go into the McDonald's and drop some fries on Sunday, he's the guy that owns, it was described, I saw one person say 56 McDonald's. I saw another report that said 100. I don't know. Let's take the smaller number. He owns 56 McDonald's. Now, he's rich compared to you and me, but he's not like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. He's not like Nancy Pelosi rich. He's not like John Kerry rich. He's like a guy that has 2 houses and one of the big boats over on Lake Louisville. That's who we're talking about. That guy got crushed. The franchisee that owns the McDonald's here in Dallas, he's probably in a similar boat, has a handful, maybe a few dozen. He got crushed. It was these middle guys, these guys that aren't really super rich elite, but they make enough money that we can tax them to the hilt. That's who got crushed. Those guys are more likely to be Team Red. Those guys are more likely to be Trump supporters, aren't they? Oh, it's ugly. Oh, it's ugly. This attack on McDonald's, they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. And the info about these ballot boxes, too suspicious to be true, to not be cynical about. All kinds of stuff. I just don't buy any of these coincidences when we are here 7 days away from an election. All right, I've got some great freelance James Show reporters lining up. If you want to get in line and tell me your early voting story, 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. This is The James Show. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Philip writes in via Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. Just look for James Parker. You know how to find people on Facebook. No excuses. He says, just voted in at 4:04, out at 4:13. Well, he really did just vote. He voted 6 minutes ago. Electronic, printed ballot, then sent to electronic box that said my vote was recorded. Hunt County and Greenville, Fletcher Warren Civic Center. Nothing strange, friendly, and quick. Also got a picture here from Scott in Canton. He said it took about 30 minutes in Canton, start to finish. There's a line out the front door, and it's not at First Monday. This weekend's First Monday. Do you know that? Do y'all know about that, or is that like a hillbilly East Texas thing? I feel like, I'm a Texan. I feel like everyone should know these things, but a lot of times you city folks don't know. Sean, do you know what First Monday is? Garrett, do you know what First Monday means in Canton? You don't know what that means? Oh, man, I'm about to out-hick everybody in the room. So, in the same way that Buc-ee's is a gas station, First Mondays is a flea market. Do you understand that? It's a flea market that's the size of Rhode Island, and it shows up one weekend every month. Whatever the first Monday of the month is, the weekend before that is First Mondays. And so if you go out there on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can get everything. You can get like a 60-year-old 9-iron from someone's golf set. You can get a pygmy goat. You can get some furniture that's made out of a tree that was struck by lightning. It's all kinds of just crazy everything is at First Monday. And I think it just started out as like 2 tables, and it just keeps growing. Like Buc-ee's just keeps growing, or like the State Fair keeps growing, or homecoming mums keep growing. So yeah, this is the weekend of First Monday. Go check it out. It's great for Christmas shopping. Patrick in Grand Prairie, you're my next freelance James Show reporter. What did you see early voting?
Well, I appreciate you doing what you're doing, because it kind of is a little bit unnerving. My wife and I voted. We had the selection tablets where you go and you make your selections.
Okay.
When I was trying to select, I have to say it, I guess Trump, it kept dropping down to Harris, and I'd go back and I'd select Trump again. It dropped down to Harris. Select Trump again. It took 3 times before it locked in on Trump.
Now, and this was on a screen, right? A touch screen?
Touch screen.
Yeah, okay. So you're not the first guy to say this that's been calling in. A guy said that last week. He said he asked the poll worker about it, and they're like, oh, we just need to recalibrate the screens. Did you ask someone about it, and what was their response?
They didn't really know what to say. I mean, my wife, it happened to her, and there were other people there voting, and they were all making similar comments that they couldn't get Trump to lock.
Dang.
Slide down to Harris. And I would just caution everybody to double check before you print out your paper ballot. Double check your selections and make sure they locked in and stayed locked. Once you print your ballot, read it before you put it in the tabulator, and because they'll void it out. And I don't know if it's intentional or if it's just an anomaly, but it's better just to slow down and look at it, make sure you got the selections you wanted.
All good advice. Thank you very much. Great report, Patrick. If nothing else, we at least have it on the record. We can come back and point at this later. Thank you, sir. Sticking with the Freelance James Show reporters, this is Gina and Keller. You're next up. What did you see early voting?
My husband and I voted. It was about 30 minutes, but the guy beside me, when you put the little paper in, his shredded. So there was a hubbub about his ballot and how to handle it.
What the heck? It shredded it?
The feeder shredded the paper.
Okay, but like in many places, or it just got caught kind of catawampus and cut off some of the side?
I think probably catawampus, yes.
Okay, that's the technical term for it. I appreciate you using that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Gina and Keller. Huh. I don't know what to think about that one. Too many issues. This is too much. I want everyone to call in and be like, dude, it was totally boring. I was in and out. It was just a few minutes. No one gave me a hard time. No paper got shredded. Let's try Brian. Brian and Denton, you're next up on WBAP. What did you see early voting, sir?
I strolled in Monday morning, 7:30, gave my license, got my paper, penciled in all the squares. I noticed that there wasn't a straight ticket, so I had to pencil in every box, even though every box I could have picked was straight Republican anyway. But anyway, I filled out all the boxes, put it in the machine. I forgot to take my Trump hat off, but nobody said anything, so it wasn't a big deal. And I was in and out.
You broke the law. Brian, you're a rebel, sir.
Well, most of the people in there, I don't think they could really see well because they were mostly older people.
Yeah, I think the average age for the poll worker when I voted was 104.
Yeah, it was about 112 at the one I went to.
All right. Well, hey, as long as they got the job done, no paper got shredded, any shenanigans?
Nope, in and out in 12, 13 minutes, no problems at all. Next year, I'm going to next one, I'm going to pick it in Spanish just because I'm telling myself it can't be that complicated because all the names are going to be in English and I can understand that language.
Yeah, but what if there's like some sort of resolution to vote on? You know, like we have the ordinances, the hero ordinances or whatever we're voting on in Dallas, where do you want to expand the police department or hire 900 new police officers? That'd be a fun little exercise, though. Let's see if I can vote in Spanish.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
All right. Yeah, it'll be fun. All right. Thank you very much. That's Brian and Denton. If you want to get in your early voting experience, 800-288-9227. Now, Dixie wrote in on a Facebook message. I was talking about how I voted in New Orleans, and they always had a curtain behind you. That must be a state law because I voted on the North Shore and then in New Orleans for like 10 years. And they always had a curtain behind. And I got kind of used to it because I had voted in Texas before and we didn't have a curtain. It was kind of nice. Have a little privacy. You know, you can, even if it's illegal to use your phone, I don't even know if it is. You could pull it out and no one would even know because you have a curtain behind you. So I may have recorded myself voting in elections past just for funsies. I don't know if that's legal or not. So let's just leave that at a hypothetical. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't sort of thing. 800-288-9227. But I'm sorry. Dixie said in Virginia, at least in the past, there was a curtain for voting for each voting booth. It was a bit to get used to Texas short cubicle walls. I know, because look at how everybody's sort of private about their voting. Like people don't want to say when I go out and do men on the street bits, people don't want to answer. It's a private thing, but it should be. It should be a private thing. I like the curtain in the back. Maybe we need to add that here in Texas. 7 days until the election. I'm getting early voting reports from you at 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we're going to talk about inflation, the economy, and what can be done about it. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. How was your experience early voting? Mine was smooth. Went to the Bug Tussle Community Center. Got to pet a donkey. No, I'm just kidding. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I really just need to know where you went, how long you had to wait, and if there were any issues with the process. Darlene, Fort Worth, you're next up on WBAP. What was your experience early voting?
Okay, we only waited maybe 20 minutes, or give or take.
Not bad.
But it's just that when we finished voting, I wanted to take a picture of my ballot, and they told me we couldn't do that.
Yeah, I think that's illegal.
I mean, what makes it illegal, and who did that? And I mean, what's the purpose of it?
Okay, so the purpose
your information,
right? So the purpose of it is so some guy in a Klan outfit or a Black Panther outfit or Nazi outfit, just pick your villain here, isn't standing there with the camera filming everyone voting. It's to protect your anonymity. It's so they can't lean on you for voting. So someone else can't record you voting. You can't record anyone. No one can record you. Voting is supposed to be an anonymous thing. You're not supposed to.
Well, we're not doing that. I was talking about just the ballot. Before I put it in the machine, just keep a picture for myself of the ballot, not filming anyone in the room.
Right. They have to do it like that because, we can't have nuanced laws in a country filled with, not filled with idiots, but about 20% of us are just stark raving idiots. So you have to make laws based on the lowest common denominator in society. And you can't have, you can take pictures of blank ballots, but other than that, you can't have your phone out when people are voting. It just doesn't work like that. So just because the union people, when they push for card check, I don't know if you've heard that term, but card check means you're voting on whether or not to unionize, but it's not going to be anonymous. Like people get to know what you voted on. So clearly, if they did that, the union would just come break knees, metaphorically speaking, until they got their way. And if you allowed people to not have complete anonymity voting, then they could be intimidating into voting for someone or against their own interest.
Yeah, and they can change your vote after you're gone. And that's the only proof you would have of what you put in yourself.
Okay, so now that's the domain of the poll.
I think you have the right to keep your own information.
It should be that simple, but that's what poll watchers are for. And at every poll watching table, there should be someone from Team Red and someone from Team Blue, and they both have to agree on the same thing, which I think is, it's going to be a flawed system because we're human beings, but I think that's about as close as we can get to fail safe, is having a volunteer from each team oversee it.
I agree with that, and I know I've worked the polls myself.
Well, God bless you. Thank you.
It hasn't come up before when I was working. I never thought about it in the past, about taking a picture of my ballot to be sure if something went awry there, that I've got proof of what I put on there.
Well, a lot of that's because you're a nice person and you don't think, well, how can I use this to game the system? So, Darlene, be proud you don't have a mind of a criminal, because apparently I do. I know what they're thinking. I know why we have to have it. No one's even had to explain that to me. I don't know. I went to a shady high school with some shady people, and I think some of it I learned the hard way. Brenda Crowley, you're next up on WBAP. What did you see early voting?
My husband and I went yesterday, and we got there just before it opened. There were 2 people in line, but it didn't take us very long.
2? Did you say 2 people in line?
A few.
Like
5 or 6.
Okay.
Yeah, but it didn't take very long because they opened up right on time.
Did you vote in Crowley?
At the Bicentennial Center.
Okay.
And it's at a park there. And but then when I was waiting for my husband, I was outside waiting for him to finish. And the police were there, and I was just kind of listening in, and one of the poll ladies there was telling the policeman that when she had gotten there in the morning, the door was open.
Ooh. Are there like a box of ballots in there unattended overnight in an unlocked room?
I don't know. It didn't sound like anything, and the policeman was kind of like, I got to go make a call. So I don't know if anything actually happened, but it was kind of funny because she turned around and she said, bye. And I was like, I'm just waiting for my husband.
Brenda, okay, so when you voted, did you have a paper ballot that you ran through a machine and then ran through another machine?
Yeah, and it was the touch screen, but everything was fine. I mean, nothing funky happened.
Well, yeah, but if they sat in a room overnight, in an unlocked room, we have some chain of custody issues there, Brenda. And I'm not saying you did anything.
That was after me. That wasn't mine.
Oh, no. I'm not saying it was yours. I'm just pointing it out that if anybody has any questions about what went down in Crowley, Brenda gave you the key piece of information that might get subpoenaed later.
I know, made me a little worried.
It should. It makes me a little worried. Thank you for your call, Brenda. I appreciate it.
All right, have a good one.
All right, that's Brenda in Crowley. Holding it down in North Fort Worth. Or, I'm sorry, South Fort Worth. Look at that. A lot of women again today. Doesn't bother me. I love you too, ladies. What, did y'all see my profile picture? Because I'm like, for a regular person, I'm a 6, but for a radio, face for radio, ha ha ha, I'm like a 9 for radio people. Tanya in Salina, you're next up on WBAP. What did you see early voting?
Well, I voted on Sunday, and I just walked right in, voted, and I was done, no problem.
How long did it take?
2 minutes.
Yeah, that was about my experience, too. There was no line. Walked right in. I knew what I was voting on, everything. Beep, 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 beep. It made the chewy sound when the paper went through, and I was done. All right. Did the paper ballot? You had to put it through 2 machines, that system?
Yes.
Was there a curtain? No curtain?
No curtain.
Maybe we should bring the curtain back. Thank you very much for your report, Tanya. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what? That's one of the gifts that I've had because I actually had to leave Texas for a while and come back. There's a few things that they do in other states that I'm not saying Texas isn't perfect. I mean, it's about as perfect as you can get, but we could add a curtain. You know, so we could add the fact that in New Orleans, you can walk around outside with a beer in your hand. And you know what? Society didn't fall apart. And oh my God. You know what else we could do? We could buy alcohol. We could buy liquor on Sundays even. Oh my God. You know what else that we could do? There was no last call. Bars could just stay open and serve alcohol forever, and society didn't fall apart. Oh, my God. But I'm staying here. I'm not moving back there. That's for damn sure. All right. I'm running out of time. I'll do some more James Show adjunct reporters coming up. Your experience early voting. Let's hear it. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome to The James Show. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Thank you for your help in keeping an eye on the voting process. We're getting a lot of great reports from people just like you calling in with their early voting experience. And look, you've always wanted to be on talk radio anyway. Here's a good way you can get on, be heard, and you're not going to say anything stupid or embarrass yourself. I just need to know where you went. How long did it take? What was the process like? Let's get all this on the record. Some of the stuff I'm hearing, I am not liking, but at least we're recording it and getting it down. And if we ever need to come back and visit this, I'll hold on to these archives. And, this is the way we keep people accountable. Amy, Maybank, you're next up on WBAP. What was your experience early voting?
Great experience. Voted on Sunday. Stood in line for about an hour.
Where'd you go?
I voted in Van Zandt County, which is over there in Canton. Woohoo! So it all went really great. One thing I did notice that there was quite a few young people working in the polling center this time. So there was about 3 that were probably in their mid-20s. So that was kind of cool.
Well, that's fantastic because that has never been my experience. It's always been, I think the cutoff is like 80 years old is the youngest you could possibly be. So, I'm maybe I should start asking that question. Was there anyone who didn't have gray hair working? And to see or to hear that 2 people in their 20s were poll workers, that's fantastic. That's unheard of. They didn't have a polling center in Maybank?
They do, but I actually live in Van Zandt County. That's my county, so I had to go over to the library.
Okay, so why'd you say Maybank? Are you in Maybank now?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a Maybank address, but I had to vote in Van Zandt County, which is in Canton.
Is Maybank not in Van Zandt County? Is it in Henderson County?
No, Maybank is in Kaufman County.
Kaufman County? All right.
But we share some of it with Van Zandt. Yes, sir. So it went great. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Hey, and thank you for being one of Bug Tussle's 2 wins this year. We beat y'all. Marianne in McKinney, you're next up on WBAP. Your reports on early voting. Go.
Yes, my husband and I went for early voting, about 20 minutes or so in line. We knew to write the back of our ballot number so we could have that for reference and tracking. But my husband paid more attention than I did, and he noticed his machine, when it put out his ballot to read, the machine itself said ballot rejected. Ooh. So he thought, was it supposed to be ejected or rejected? And he mentioned it, and they said, yeah, that's been happening a few times. And so they said, well, let's just feed it into the second machine. It rejected that one. The third one, it rejected. The middle one took it, which is the one mine set into. And so we reported this to Protect the Vote, so they got a record of it. So that's all we know. We're hoping it took, but we didn't like that.
Who'd you report it to?
Protect the Vote.
Okay.
It's a place where you should be. They're really policing everything across the country. And they responded, thank you. And so they've acknowledged receiving that report.
Yeah, I've been sending out when people ask me or send me an email, how do I check on my vote status or report anything funky? There was a good rundown on WFAA.com, and I've been sending people a link to that has links to like Protect the Vote and like the Texas Secretary of State or Election Commission or whatever. So you did the right thing. Thank you for sharing that and reporting it.
Yep, thank you.
And how cute is it that how many people go with like a married couple? Me and my husband went on Sunday. Me and my husband went yesterday. Like it's a cute little date thing, you know. Like me and my wife are really attached. Like I'm going to go to the gas station. I'll go with you. Like just for no reason. We
don't miss a single election. There's nothing too small.
That's so sweet. Oh, you made voting sound like something like emotional and familial. What is it like to have a fully formed human emotions? That looks like it's so rewarding. I should try that sometime. Let's go to, this is Tom up in Wichita Falls. We hadn't heard from Wichita Falls yet. Everything going good with early voting up there, Tom?
So far, so good.
Okay.
I voted yesterday. There was probably about 50 people ahead of me. It only took about 20 minutes. Everything went good till I printed out my ballot, and then only one side printed and the other side didn't go in, so it kind of folded the ballot up, and the ballot worker had to back it out, and I had to sign a piece of paper saying I got a second one, so they had to put that in, and it finally printed it correct where I could go put it into the second machine.
Good Lord, I'm hearing too many issues here, and I know it's minor and it sounded like it worked out okay, but shouldn't it be a little more fluid than this?
You would think, but...
All right, well, that's part of the reason we're doing this exercise, Tom. I appreciate calling up from Wichita Falls because no one else has called me from there yet, and I get a little jealous when I don't hear from people up north.
Well, we're here, so...
All right, thank you very much. All right, I appreciate it. Jared and Dave and everyone else on hold, I'm sorry we ran out of time for your early voting reports. If you don't mind calling back tomorrow, I'd love to hear it. It just ran out of time. I got one more thing on my plate, and then we got to go. I got to tell you about the Dr. Jordan Peterson tour coming to Irving. He's going to be at the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory December 11th. For information and tickets, livenation.com. But this week, the WBAP Morning Show is giving away some tickets. I gave away some on yesterday's James Show. I didn't have any game show today. I think we may do it again on Friday, but stick around. In the meantime, if you don't want to try and win your tickets, you just want to buy them, livenation.com. All right, thank you very much for hanging out. Share your early voting experience, james@wbap.com, or send me a Facebook message. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show. You're listening to News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.